Hello and welcome to the Crypt, a place where eBay purchases, marketplace lowballs and good ideas come to rest. Sometimes die, sometimes come alive. This one's dead, that one's sleeping. I don't think that one over there has lived for 20 years or so, but I'm going to show you around what's in here. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's one behind the camera, but that's not mine. This is 5 of 8 projects that I'm dealing with at the moment. I say dealing with because it's like an actual trauma. I know that a lot of you won't know me or know any of the projects, so I'm going to start from the very, very basics of some of the stories of the cars. You'll see this thing up here that I've had for like 6, 7 years. So there's a lot of backstory, and I'm going to run you through what they are. This channel I'm going to use as a bit of motivation because over the last 2 years or so I haven't made a lot of progress with these projects. So I've only really had my own conscience to be accountable to, and clearly that's not enough. So I'm going to try and do regular updates, regular work on the cars and regular uploads to YouTube so that I have to do it, because if I don't do it then obviously the channel doesn't work. So let's see how we get on. I'm going to show you through some of these cars. Obviously there's some interesting, I think they're interesting builds. I say builds because they're half built, but there you go. Next door are rolling some stuff about. Start with me. So why are there 5 cars in here in various states of disrepair? Good question. I've been modifying cars for probably like 20 years or so now, so I've accumulated a lot of, I want to say crap, stuff. So parts and rare stuff and a couple cars along the way, all that sort of stuff. Saying stuff a lot, but it means that you accumulate things and you take them with you. So I've got some things that for cars that I don't even own anymore. So I've had a massive clear out at the start of the year, and this is part of the kick to really get these projects sorted out. I will probably do some backstories on some of the projects that I've done before, but these are the ones that are with me right now, so I think this is probably the best place to begin. Now, you may recognise my face from the Regal YouTube channel, and maybe some of the Garage Midnight videos too. That's because I help run Regal, who are a really professional tuning workshop who also distribute parts, so that's the serious side of stuff. And then all these projects are my personal mess about sort of things, which occupy probably way too much time. So I do a lot of posts on Instagram. I really love Instagram, a great community, loads of ways to connect to people, and like searching for parts through Instagram is wicked, but you don't get a lot of time to really explain what you're doing with projects. It doesn't suit like technical stuff either, so I'd like to do that here. Wasn't joking when I said it was cold in there. It's freezing. I have a lot of things go wrong with these cars and I have to fix them. And I think this is a good place to tell those sorts of stories because I'm doing it anyway. And I think that maybe it'd be useful for some people, maybe it'd be entertaining for some others, and it just gives me somewhere creatively to like outlet stuff, because otherwise you're fixing stuff all the time and that can get a little bit depressing, which is probably why I've put it off for so long. So I'm going to use this channel as almost like a bit of therapy. Whether that's responsible or not, I don't know, but I'm going to use it to help me get some motivation to get all of these cars done. So onto the cars, and I'm probably going to start with one of my favourites, although I shouldn't probably have favourites because it'll probably come back and bite me later. But this is a Toyota Corolla, 1987, so it's a later model, Levin coupe, so it's a 2-door with the notchy kind of notchy boot, and I've had this for probably, I should have checked the facts on this, probably about 4 years I'd say. It's got your good line bonnet, try not to break it in half. 4AGE, it's the engine it should have, obviously. I'm not a big fan of engine conversions actually, especially on old sort of period cars, because I feel like the character is mostly engine based, like the noise they make and the way they rev and all that sort of stuff. So this is on the CUNY 44s, an old TRD style. Actually, I'm going to turn the light on for this. So this is an old TRD style intake. It's got a 4-branch. Has to be done. I converted it to a CSF rad. I've got an oil cooler that I need to fit. Obviously the fogs, I need the fogs. At the moment, it's on standard bumpers. So this is actually an early style bumper. The later ones have the corner lights. I much prefer it like that. T37's on the front at the moment. Bomex lip on the front, down there, and Bomex mirrors. It's fully stitch welded, so there's really nothing inside this car. SK Engineering clocks. Nothing, really nothing inside. So yeah, when I say I've collected some rare bits, you'll see stuff like the SK clocks and bits and bobs like that that are really difficult to get hold of, that I love. That's part of the reason why these cars are really cool, because you get to collect stuff. One of my favourite bits about this car is actually how bad it is, which seems weird to say, but it does tell a story. So if you look down here, that's not good welding. So to me, I think personally that it's, turn the light off, it's had a Cusco cage in it, and I think that it's been used in competition because it's got a cut-off switch. So it's got no heaters. It's got a cut-off switch in the wing, which doesn't make a huge amount of sense to me. And the door bars have been really hastily stick welded in. So I don't know if it's been like a D1 street legal sort of thing, and they've had to put bars in to compete, and they've had to do it very quickly, maybe at the circuit. But I don't know. But I love that kind of stuff. And I know it's not ideal, but I'll probably keep it. Longchamps on the back at the moment. Yeah, well, this is cool. If you're into Corollas, that will be interesting to you. So it's got some nice bits and some maybe not so nice bits, but this car will come back this year. I've got a few bits to do. Wow, actually, I've missed probably the best bit of the car. So the gearbox is a TRD 3.5. So that is the shift pattern. 1, 2, 3, 3.5, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 3.5, back down to 4, which is a recipe for money shifting, but it is very cool. It means that it's absolutely terrible to drive with on the street. You can do probably, I don't know, very, very max of 100 miles an hour, but you get there very quickly. So that's a snapshot on the Corolla. Next to it is basically the polar opposite. So this is a 1968 Plymouth Barracuda. Very, very worn paintwork, which I absolutely love. Interior is trimmed in the worst way you could ever imagine, which I actually really like. So this would have had a blue interior originally. Actually, the car is blue. I really need to tidy up in here. The car is originally blue. It's now this black colour, and lots of patina on basically everything. So really love it. I actually use this as a wedding car for my wedding. So yeah, that's a special car now. I've not had it a terrible amount of time, but I do really love it. So obviously a V8, but it's only a baby. So because this is a 68, it didn't have the bigger engines available. So it's a 273, 4-barrel carb on it. Some tubular manifolds, which sounds great, but are actually a bit of a problem because it's got a water leak at the moment, and the core plug behind that runner is the one that's leaking. So I've got to basically partially remove the engine to fix it. But really cool car. I'll show you the back. Really sounds cool, and I really like how sort of weathered everything is. Love it. Cool car, that one. Doesn't really need that much by comparison. As I say, that one will be a bit of a summer job because I won't use it during the winter. Yeah, I'll get the core plug done and then it's good to go. So relatively easy fix for that. By contrast, probably the hardest one to fix in this whole shed is the Alpina. So if you have followed any of the Instagram stuff, or you maybe know a little bit of my history, then you'll recognize this car. That number plate says it all. So, where do we begin with that? It is a Alpina B10 Switchtronic 3.3, of which they made relatively few. Tends to say one of three because there are only 3 Switchtronic facelift Tourings, but that's like saying this is the only one made on a Tuesday by Barry. You know, you've got I'm going down into the nuances of it a little bit, but yeah, I don't think there was a huge amount made in general. Certainly not many Tourings. This one has the roof rails on top deleted, so it's got some delete options, which I really love. And it's been sat for 6 years, 5 years at least. It's got no engine in currently. So, those are actually Super Sprint headers. Which ran on the car, I think, for maybe, I don't know, 1,000 miles, maybe less than that. The car was on, I don't know, something like 140,000 miles, and I decided to supercharge it. What you think would happen, happened. I tried to do a cheap engine build on it, just to keep it going. Didn't really have the funds at the time to do a proper engine build, and that didn't work either. So I have got some arrow rods, new crank, Miley Motorsport pistons, and the engine is actually at the machine shop at the moment. So fingers crossed, see this back in action at some point this year. But you know, it's been 6 years so far, so what's another 6 years between friends? It's covered in moss and everything, but it's not in bad nick considering what E39s generally look like now. Okay, so here's one that barely even got started. It is obviously it's a Beetle, but if you take a look at the back window, that's an oval. So this is a 57 oval. It was a drag car in California before I got it. It has been modified in the UK with a full welding cage. So that has been done at Intergalactic Speed Shop. And on the other side, I think it is, there's a really, really cool plaque, which has a snowman on it because the cage was built in December. It's actually pretty good, other than the cage has never been welded. So it's a nice nick, really. So a big thing to do with these is to take the quarter lights out the windows. So it's got single piece glass. It's got a fiberglass front end. Those are the original wings. I've got a new beam to put on it. It's on, that's the downpipe for the Mark 7. That's another story. It's on BRMs. So it's got most of the bits to make it really cool. When it was in California, it was turbocharged, so I've got a turbo engine to go in this. I'll show you that back home. Gearbox needs building. Gearbox is leaking. It's your typical half-done Beetle build, really. But again, this one has quite a cool backstory. I was building the ASAP Rocky 190E for Need for Speed with a really cool team of people at Spike's Body Shop. Spike's are really well known for air-cooled restorations. They do some amazing work on like Karma Gears, early 911s, stuff like that. And this was actually one of Andy's mates' cars. So I got really into Beetles when I was working there with them. And this is what happens, I guess. You get ideas. So this is what I say when this is where the eBay purchases and the marketplace finds come to die, because I just have too many ideas, I suppose. So I bought this car. I bought the engine. The engine was twin carbed. So I sold that, bought the turbo kit. That's really as far as I've got, but I would love to get this going because it's a really cool memory to like token of that time building that car, which was wicked. Really enjoyed that. So there's 1, 2, 3 full-scale projects really to finish. So I think one of those things where like if you've got so much to do, you just never get started. And that's before we get on to this JZX. Okay, where do we start? So probably had this for 3 years again, 2-3 years. It's a JZX 100 So that means it's got a 1J inside. So this one is a late model car. It's a VVTi. So 1JZ is 2.5, usually twin turbo, but this one is converted to a big whole set, tubular manifold down there. Makes about, I think it's 550 or so on high boost. So it's got a Link G4. Works really well. So big intercooler, all your normal stuff, big downpipe, and then off to single exit exhaust. Pretty straightforward, you know. That is your go-to JZX 100 setup. It's on the ramp at the moment because I'm fitting an oil cooler. I want to do a little bit of drifting with it, and it hasn't got an oil cooler at the moment, so I need to fit one. Front end is a BN Sports lip. We've got Vertex side skirts, I think, although I do have some extra bits. There is a bonnet, BN Sports bonnet, down there somewhere. There's a Vertex rear lip, sort of half bumper, down there. And I've got some wings coming over from Ireland. So it's a BN bonnet. Back to this. Down the doors. What else? Inside's not looking too pretty. I took some stuff out of it to sell recently. Because I would forget if I didn't write that. So it's got Bricks 1.5 passenger seat. This is actually the seat for the A86. You'll notice the 86 didn't have a seat in it because I've stolen it for this, just for now. But that is actually Kevlar SPA Recaro, which is like a sort of E30 or E36 touring car seat. It's got some really cool scrutineer and stickers and stuff on it. So that doesn't really belong in there, but I'm waiting for another seat to turn up for it. Titan 7 RT10s, so forged wheels, just on a 225/40, 18 all round. Yeah. Should you have a look underneath? It's got some cool bits going on underneath. Speaking of rare, garage slick front bumper for the 86. There's really not many of those around. I need to tidy that corner up. Okay, so underneath this thing, we've got a leaky gearbox, which needs remedying. Pretty normal next things, I think. But yeah, big downpipe, not a whole lot of exhaust on it. But we do have, obviously, the D2 brake kit. We've got shortened spindles up here, which I probably should have painted, but never mind. We've got extended lower control arms. We've got the 09 AK-49s on it. So yeah, it should be decent once we get it going. But yeah, it's got some nice stuff, Fibertechnics mounts. Yeah, so up here is where I'm gonna be doing some work soon. It's really tight, which is why I've kind of put it off, but there will be 2 oil lines coming down here, and then we'll probably run somewhere along. I think this is a good spot for the oil cooler to sit. This boost pipe comes around here, but yeah, I think there might be some place we can do it there. We'll see. That is probably the first job I'm going to do. So I think this JZX, be a weep there as well. This JZX is probably one of the first sort of job cars to do. Hard race subframe, bushes, leaking diff. That's got a Tomei Traction Advance diff, I think. But yeah, this car's pretty okay. It does need a bit of love. I'd love to put a different exhaust on it, maybe make something. It's done some work, shall we say. It's not a bad car. I enjoy driving it. I just need to finish it, really. I think that's probably fair to say. Of all cars in here, I really enjoy them, really like them. Just need to get on and finish them. So yeah, that is 5 of 8. I hope you've enjoyed the descriptions of what we've got going on. I really hope that I can carry on with some progress and update you on how we're getting on. So first one's going to be the JZX. with the oil cooler. And then maybe we'll get onto the Mark 7, which isn't here in this video, but I think is probably the next one after that, because I want to get that ready for some track days come March time. But yeah, hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you can stick around. Let's see if we can get all these projects done, shall we?